Okay. Now, from asexual to sexual. This is very important as far as this text is concerned, the content. Therefore, sexual different from asexual. Remove A. It's sexual. The formation of offspring by the fusion of haploid gametes or sex cells or reproductive cells. Gametes, sex cells, reproductive cells. This fuse the two haploid. Haploid means these special types of reproductive cells do have half the total number of chromosomes because they are produced by special type of cell division known as meiosis, which is also known as reduction division. Okay, therefore, when you are defining sexual reproduction is the formation of individuals, offspring, by the fusion of the male and female haploid gametes or the male and female sex cells or reproductive cells, which are haploid. The union of the other definition, the union of a male and female gamete results gametes female, male and female gametes results in the formation of a zygote, the first cell, the first human, the first organism, the first individual, the first offspring, sexually produced offspring, a single cell that develops into a new individual, zygote. And sexual reproduction increases genetic variation, diversity. Of course, sexual reproduction is one source of diversity in our biosphere, one source of diversity, and very important source of diversity in two ways. By the way, sexual reproduction brings about diversity in the offspring in two ways. One, it combines the male's reproductive cell with the female's reproductive cell. Plus, when the reproductive cells by themselves are produced in the mother's and the father's reproductive system by meiosis, meiosis also contributes to the diversity by mixing up parts of chromosomes. There is a process known as crossing over that occurs in prophase 1 of meiosis 1. And a very important event, it mixes up parts of chromosomes. Chromosomes are cut and exchange their parts so that the chromosomes become diversified, so that those offspring produced by this crossing over will be of different types. Diversity is formed not only sexual reproduction, but the gametes, when they are formed by meiosis, there are also diverse types of gametes formed. This also adds to diversity, genetic diversity of individuals produced by sexual reproduction. When it comes to sexual reproduction processes, there are three fundamental processes. I have tried to tell you the first. In sexually reproducing organisms, we do have one process, meiosis. Then there is another big process, fertilization. Then there is the third process, development. Meiosis, fertilization, and development. These are the three key events or process, major events or process in the process of sexual reproduction. As you know, meiosis is a special cell division that makes haploid gametes. It's also known as reduction division because it produces haploid cells from diploid cell. It reduces the chromosome number of the mother cell by 50%, so that it starts with, in case of human beings, with a cell with 46 chromosomes. Then it gives an egg cell. Fully formed egg cell will have 23 chromosomes only, half of the 46 total. Therefore, by doing this, by reducing the number of gametes in each and the number of chromosomes in each reproductive cell by 50%, it keeps a constant number of chromosomes in a species. Imagine you have 46 chromosomes because your mommy gives you 23 chromosomes through her egg, and your daddy gives you 23 chromosomes through his sperm. So you will have the same chromosome number as mommy and daddy, 46. The same is true for your kids. For your kids, you give sperm with 23 chromosomes, and your wife gives 23 chromosomes, and all your kids, if they are of course normal cell division, normal pregnancy, they will have 46 chromosomes individual. Therefore, the chromosome number uh, of a species is kept constant from generation to generation because of this big event, big event, that is meiosis. And this is diagrammatic representation of meiosis. You can see diploid cell finally gives four haploid cells. Four haploid cells. You can see even the genetic crossing over event. You can see the crossing over event. They have exchanged small pieces. You can see here small pieces. This one has cut and given it to this one, and also this one has cut and given to this one. This one has cut given. Therefore, variety is produced by meiosis. Not only reduction the chromosome number by half, also brings about this event is known as crossing over. You will learn this in genetics, unit 4. The second event is fertilization. How can you define fertilization? Fertilization is the process by which simple definition, male and female gametes, sperm and egg, fuse, unite, mix to produce one single diploid cell. Diploid cell. That means a cell with total number of chromosomes, zygote, and initiating the development of new organism. When zygote is properly formed, immediately it initiates embryonic development. Is zygote embryo? Exactly. If you are asked, yes, zygote is a single cell embryo formed by the fusion of, strictly speaking, the fusion of the egg with the sperm nucleus. Do you know why I say the sperm nucleus? Not the sperm. The sperm nucleus. The fusion of the egg with the sperm nucleus. Because the sperm cell gives only its nucleus to the egg cell to produce zygote. The other part of the sperm is not mixed to produce zygote. That's why the precise definition of fertilization is the union or fusion of the egg. Everything of the egg is part of the zygote. Everything. The egg contains mitochondria, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosome. All these are parts of the cytoplasm become part of the zygote. You see, our mummies give us the whole egg. Daddy's sperm, from daddy's sperm, only the nucleus that contains 23 chromosomes goes and unites with the egg to produce zygote. That's why when you properly define fertilization, you have to define in such a way that it is the fusion of the egg with the sperm nucleus to produce a diploid single cell known as zygote, which immediately enters into embryonic development stage. And the next, you can see this one. Fertilization is this event, a very complex event. Egg unites with sperm nucleus unites with the egg. It involves the union of a parental sperm nucleus with a maternal egg nucleus, or the egg itself, combining genetic material from both parents. And when we come to fertilization, could occur, of course, fertilization could occur in sexually reproducing organisms. Fertilization could occur either outside of the female's body or inside the female's body. That's why we classify fertilization into external and internal. In the body of the female, internal reproductive system of the female, or outside. It could be most of the time moist areas in the water environment, like fish and frogs in water environments. They release their eggs in the water. Sperm and egg are united outside of the body of the female, external. And the third process is, we have seen meiosis, then fertilization, then development. The process that changes the zygote, the processes that change the zygote into a fully developed individual, because you may call it fetus, or fully developed individual, development, fully developed individual. In the case of humans, we may call it fetus, of course. this is not appropriate because we are talking about animals in general, into fully developed individual. Change that fetus into individual. Therefore, what do you call this? Of course, it's embryonic development. Embryonic development. Of course, embryonic development produces, for example, in case of humans, starting from the single cell zygote, a fully formed baby or neonate, we call, while the human embryo is inside the female's body and fully formed, we call it fetus. Where after it immediately comes to this planet, comes to this world, and for the first 28 days, it is known as neonate. Then after, you may call baby, toddler, whatever it's child, whatever we may give. Anyway, embryonic development ensures human beings have 11 systems, and embryonic development ensures that all the 11 systems are fully formed. They may further grow and develop, but they are fully formed. Therefore, embryonic development is the prenatal development. That means before birth development, before touching, in case of those which are embryonic development. Therefore, when you go to embryonic development, when you go to this, embryonic development is a complex process that begins with fertilization, then fertilization, cleavage. What's cleavage? Rapid cell division. Then formation of morula, then blastula or blastocyst, then organs are formed. When it is blastula, tissues are formed. You see? Then tissues come together, different tissues come together, and they generate what? Organs. What do you call that? Generation of organ or formation of organs from different tissues? Organogenesis. Like your kidneys, your heart, your brain, your lungs, your all these organogenesis, formation of different organs. First, cleavage, zygote undergoes rapid cell division. It produces a mass of solid mass of cells, morula. The morula undergoes blastulation, blastula or blastocyst. Then the blastula undergoes further process known as gastrulation and folds into 3 layers of cells, and then after 3 layers of cells, organs generate. The 3 layers of cells, I will tell you, this is the sequence, you see. Zygote becomes 2 cell, 2 cell, 4 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 8 cell stage. Then morula changes into blastula by the process blastulation. Then the blastula undergoes folding, starting from this produces 1 4. Folding process of the embryo. Gastrulation, we call it. After blastulation, there is gastrulation. Gastrulation, the folding of the embryo, mass of cells, embryo, produces what? 3 layers. The ectoderm, the mesoderm, the middle layer of cells, the inner layer of cells. You see? These different parts of the embryo, 3-layered embryo, trilaminar embryo. The ectoderm, for example, develops into skin and skeletal system. The mesoderm develops into different tissues or systems, and endoderm develops in digestive system, the like. You see, therefore, the different parts of the trilaminar embryo, the 3-layered embryo, that is formed after gastrulation, results in the formation of different systems. 11 systems are produced, then this system work together to produce organisms. You are not required, of course, to know, but I would like to go further. It's not included in your text anyway. Anyway, let me bring you this. We are talking about development. You see, meiosis, fertilization, development. Which development? Embryonic development. When the embryo develops from zygote, the single cell embryo, to fully developed individual. Development, when we come to animals, it could be DD or ID. DD means direct development. It's direct development, like humans, for example, single cell, zygote, cleavage, morula, blastula, gastrula, and trilaminar layer. Then fully formed human. This is direct development. Direct. The full formed baby is just similar to his parents, not different. This is direct development. The embryo grows, develops into a fully formed organism, which that organism is similar to the parents. When you go to indirect development, which is also known as metamorphosis, there is transformation. One form of animal, the other form of animal. Therefore, this is indirect development, which is known as metamorphosis, which is common in lower animals. It's not common in higher animals, lower animals. Lower animals. Through transformation. What do you call that transformation? It is metamorphosis. We will focus when we discuss about insect reproduction, we will focus on this metamorphosis. Then, the next portion, sexual reproduction in some animals. This is the next portion of the text, sexual reproduction in some animals. We are going to see sexual reproduction as far as your book is concerned. Sexual reproduction insects. So we are going to see metamorphosis here, which is indirect type of development. Two types of metamorphosis, complete and incomplete. Frogs also undergo metamorphosis. Yes. Crocodiles, from egg, hatch individuals, direct development. Birds, direct development. And rats, direct development. Okay? Metamorphosis is seen in these two. Therefore, we will see sexual reproduction, sexual reproduction in insects, sexual reproduction in frogs, crocodiles, birds, rats. These are the organisms, as far as your book is concerned, these are the organisms whose sexual reproduction is discussed as part of lesson in grade 11, unit 2. And when it comes to the sexual reproduction in insects, the first portion, insects belong to which animal kingdom, which phylum? Arthropoda, animals with joint legs. Of course, insects are the most abundant, the most diversified what? Arthropods. Yeah, there are 4 categories of arthropods. One is insect. Insects are the most diverse and the most abundant and the most successful for us. Therefore, we shall see these organisms. Also, their economic importance is also discussed very much extensively. Most successful, most diverse animals on Earth made use of a wide range of habitats. They are aquatic, they are in the air, in the desert, highlands, whatever it is. That's why we say they are most successful. Common features for insects, arthropods, we shall start arthropods, have segmented bodies, paired and jointed legs or limbs. Bilateral symmetry means if you divide the body of the organism by one line that passes at the middle, you can divide it into 2 halves that are similar or mirror image of each other. I am bilateral, for example. If you divide me this way, bilateral, this half and this half are similar. Bilateral symmetry is very important criteria to classify animals. Therefore, we can say arthropods are totally similar to our line of symmetry. Our line of symmetry is bilateral symmetry. If you, by a single line, a single axis, if you divide the body of the animal, you can divide it into 2 equal parts which are mirror image of each other. That is the definition of bilateral symmetry. Covered with a hard chitinous chitin, and it's a type of complex carbohydrate because with some amino acids. Chitinous exoskeleton, which is known as chitin, covered. Their body is covered by exoskeleton. That exoskeleton is made of chitin or chitin. What is chitin? Glucose with some amino acids, and it prevents. This is one criteria for their success. Of course, it prevents excess loss of water, especially for those living in the desert, to prevent excess water evaporation. And when it comes to this body with head, thorax, abdomen in some, or some the head and thorax are fused together. We call it cephalothorax, not separate head and thorax. fused head and thorax, cephalothorax. Abdomen is different from the cephalothorax. Open circulatory, they have open circulatory system with dorsal heart. The heart is on the back part, nearer to the back side of their body. Have well-developed nervous system and complete digestive system with well-developed sense organs. Complete digestive system. They can take in solid food, digest it, absorb, and remove the waste. Therefore, complete digestive system they possess. And well-developed sense organs, including those with antenna. And respire by body surface, or gills, body surface, or gills, trachea, or book lungs. There is structure known as book lung, by which they breathe. Excretory organs are known as kidney-like structures, known as, we don't call them kidneys, but Malpighian tubes. They are primitive kidney structures. Malpighian tubes for excretion to remove the metabolic wastes like urea. Usually internal fertilization. Insects call each other. The female, male during reproductive time, they call each other, and the male mounts on the female and inseminates or gives her sperm. So fertilization occurs internally inside the body of the female most of the time, but there are some exceptions where fertilization occurs externally. Fertilized eggs are laid to undergo metamorphosis. Therefore, what do you call the developmental process in this organism? It is metamorphosis. The main groups or classes of arthropods are, these are myriapods, centipedes, millipedes, insects. We are going to focus on this group, like flies, butterflies, mosses, ants, grasshoppers, beetles, termites, crickets, bees, different types of bees. These are the most diverse and the most abundant and have colonized many different habitats. The third, arachnids, spiders, scorpions, ticks, mites, and the fourth, crustaceans, crabs, lobsters, barnacles, shrimps. This we are not going to deal just this further information, not included in the text, but you need to know. We are going to focus on the most successful arthropods known as insects. And their reproduction. Insects are the largest and most diverse, we have said. And you can see here common features of insects. They do have the 3 pairs of jointed legs, 1 pair of antennae, 1 pair of compound eyes. The body is comprised of 3 distinct body regions. Now, head separate from thorax, thorax separate from abdomen. These are the distinguishing features of insects. In case you encounter a new arthropod to identify it as insect or non-insect, you can use this criteria. 3 pairs of jointed legs, 1 pair of antenna, 1 pair of compound eyes, and 2 pairs of wings. 2 pairs of wings. Of course, in some, 1 pair of wing is highly reduced, like in houseflies. 1 pair of wing is highly reduced and given the name halter. It is used for balancing the body during flight. Tracheal respiratory system, they use trachea, that means trachea, open tube system on their bodies. Spiracle is their opening, and trachea, tube system. Body covered with a hard exoskeleton that is made of chitin, Most have 2 pairs of wings, I have told you, and these are examples, grasshoppers, beetles, wasps, bees, flies, butterflies, ants, termites. When it comes to sexual reproduction, this is the real part. Sexual reproduction insects. Insects have separate sexes, male and female. Yeah, of course. Sexual reproduction, sometimes you have to know it. I have to point you out some point here. Sexual, if you are asked, is it always the case that there are 2 individuals for sexual reproduction? No. No, there are some exceptions. There are some individual animals with the ability to produce both the male and the female reproductive cells. Such individual animals are known as hermaphroditic or bisexual. They do have both sex systems or both sex organs, the male and female. The male sex organ produces sperm and the female sex organ produces egg so that they can fertilize their own egg by their own sperm. Therefore, one individual producing male and female reproductive cell and multiplying it, not necessarily. Otherwise, in most cases, sexual reproduction involves two individuals. One is a male, the other is a female. They contribute gametes or reproductive cells. These are separate. Insects have separate sexes, male and female. And commonly fertilization is internal, except some in the female's body, internal. So, the male and the female must communicate during reproductive time, must communicate and synchronize. They have to. The female must identify the male is her own species, and the male must do the same. Synchronize so that the male inseminates or gives her sperm. Eggs are fertilized inside the body of the female, and the female lays the eggs in the appropriate environment. Otherwise, the eggs will not hatch or be destroyed or be eaten by other animals. You see, in order to survive, they have to select the appropriate, suitable environment. And therefore, during their reproductive seasons, first, what do? Sexual reproduction behavioral. There are complex behavioral patterns during sexual reproduction, the male and the female. During their reproductive seasons, there is courtship call. They produce sound. That sound, the male may produce sound or the female may produce sound. It's called, please. If the female is producing that sound, she is calling for the male to come so that they will reproduce. You see, courtship call. Or the female may produce gaseous chemicals and release it into the atmosphere. So that if there is a male of her species nearby and the antenna are used to, just like nose, they sniff. They use the antenna to sniff it so that without missing the direction where the female is, the male, if he is ready, will gallop or move as fast as possible to catch before any other comes and catches. Therefore, competition is competition. Therefore, pheromones are chemicals produced in the form of gas by the female to call the male. Courtship is part of courtship. What's courtship? Just courtship. Courtship. Behavioral pattern. Behavioral animal. I love to teach courtship in animal behavior. የእንስሶችን ባህሪ ስትሉ እንስሶች በጣም ሬር ነው። ዝም ብሎ ራንደምሊ አንድ ወንድ እንስሳ ሴቷን ራንደምሊ ኮርት ሳያደርግ ራንደምሊ ሴክስ መፈጸም በጣም ሬር፣ ከሰው ውጪ አስገድዶ የሚደፍር እንስሳ የለም። መጀመሪያ ኮርት ያደርጋታል። ኮርትሽ መጀናጀን ብሎ በእኛ ዘመናዊ ቋንቋ መጀናጀን ወይንም መጠባበስ። እንግዲህ የሰው ልጅ የመጠባበስ ክራይቴሪያው ምንድነው? ሴቶች ያው ኢኮኖሚክስ ነው የሚገዛችሁ ብዙ ጊዜ። ኢኮኖሚክስ ነው አለ፣ መኪና አለ፣ ብር አለህ ነው፣ ባንክ ስንት አለ ነው። ኢኮኖሚስቶች ናቸው። አንዳንድ ጊዜ ደግሞ ለሴት ልጅ ዝና እንደ ሽቶ ይሸጣታል ይላሉ። ዝነኛ ይሁን እሺ ዶንት ኬር ኦፍ ኮርስ ዝነኛ ኮንክ ብሩም ስላለ አለው ብላ ስለምትጠብቅ ዝና እንደ ሽቶ ይሸጣቸዋል ይላል አንድ ፍላስፋ ሴቶችንና ምንም አይጥምሰል ጎሪላ ምሰል ዝነኛ ኮንክ እኔ ነኝ አለች ሞዴሊስት ያንተ ልጅ ኤኒዌይ ኮርትሺፕ የሰው ልጅ ኮርትሺፕ እጅግ ኮምፕሊኬትድ ነው። አሁን በኢንተርኔት ሁሉ ኮርት ይደረጋል። ቁጭ ብለህ እዚህ አዋሳ ቱላ ላይ ቁጭ ብለህ ካናዳ ነኝ ያልክ በፌስቡክ አማለ መጣው ከካናዳ ብለህ የለበስክ እንደ ዲያስፖራ የለበስክና ተማልና አልተብስና ቤት ሁሉ ታመጣ ትችላለህና but when it comes to courtship is behavior pattern ነው። courtship ምንድነው? የbehavior pattern ነው። behavior ነው ራሱን የቻለ species specific የሆነ I'm talking about animals except humans species specific የሆነ በመራቢያ ወቅት ሴቷና ወንዱ የሚጫወቱት ጫወታን በለው የሚያሳዩት የባህሪ ለውጥ ነው። ምን አይነት ለምሳሌ ሆርሞን አምጥቶ መልቀቅ ኢንሴክት ሆኖ ፌርሞን ነው የሚባለው፣ በጋዝ መልክ የሚለቀቅ ይወኝ ጋለበ ላይት ዌይት ነው፣ ይሄዳል። በአንቴና ነው የሚቀምሰው ወይም የሚያሸተው። ዳይሬክሽን ሚስ ሲያደርግ ይሄዳል ወደ ሴቷ። ይሄ ነው እንግዲህ የሴክሹዋል ሪፕሮዳክሽን ሃርድሺፕ የሚባለው ምንድነው? ወንድና ሴት ስለሆኑ መምጣት አለባቸው፣ አንድ ላይ መምጣት አለባቸው። ይሄ ነው ኢንቨስትመንት። ለመምጣት የምትወስደው ኤነርጂ ያስብ። ከመጣ በኋላ ደግሞ አይታ ወይ ይደንስላታል ወንዱ፣ ወይ የሆነ ባህላ ሰዓት ካልጣማት ወይንም የሱ ዝርያ ካልሆነች ወይንም ደግሞ ሰነፍ ነው ብላ የምታስብ ከሆነ ሴቷ አለ ክራይቴሪያ አላቸው። ሰነፍ ነው ስላችሁ ለምሳሌ አንዳንድ ወፎች ጎጆ ሰርተው ሴቷን ይጋብዛሉ። ጎጆ ሰርተው በወር በርድ ብላችሁ ጋቡ አውስትራሊያ ውስጥ የሚገኝ ወፍ አለ። አሳምሮ ጎጆ ሰርቶ ትመጣለች፣ ታያለች፣ ትገባለች፣ በዚህ ትወጣለች። ካልጠማት በኋላ በኩል ትወጣለች። ሁሉ ለፍቶ ኦኬ ላትለው ትችላለች። ጂኑ ላይ ያስቀጥል ይችላል። ኢማጂን ለፍቶ ብዙ ኢነርጂ አውጥቷል። ብዙ ጌጣጌጦች ሁሉ ደርድሮ የሚሰራው በጣም የሚገርም ወፍ ነው። በወር በል ይባላል። እና ይሄ ሁሉ ብዙ ኢነርጂ ያለው የሴክሹዋል ሪፕሮዳክሽን ዲስአድቫንቴጅ አለው። ዩ ኢንቨስት ሂውጅ አማውንት ኦፍ በሰው ራሱ ወሰዱ። በተለይ ወንዶች እንግዲህ ደብዳቤ ከመጻፍ ጀምሮ ብዙ እንትን አለውና courtship normally the behavior pattern ነው behavior that the two opposite sexes show to each other before what mating or copulation or before sex ነው የሚባለው sexual intercourse ከማድረጋቸው በፊት የሚያሳዩት የባህሪ። ይሄ ለምን ይጠቅማል? ያን courtship ሴቶቹ ናቸው ብዙ ኢነርጂ የሚያወጡት ወንዶቹ ናቸው ለኮርትሺፕ። ወፎች ካያችሁ ይደንሳሉ፣ ይሰላሉ፣ ጎጆ ሰርተው ያሳያሉ። ይሄ ኢነርጂ ነው። ከዛስ አለ ሴቷ ፊት የሆነውን ወንድ መለያ ነው ይላሉ ኢኮሎጂስቶች ወይንም የአኒማል ቢሄቪየር አጥኚዎች ኢቶሎጂስቶች። therefore courtship allows the female to choose the best male ቤስት አዳፕትድ የሆነው ሚል። ይሄ ለልጆቿ ነው እንጂ ለሱ አይደለም ዳይሬክት ጥቅሙ። ልጆቿ የአባቷን ጂን ወራሽ ናቸው። ይሄ አባትየው ጂን ደግሞ አሪፍ ጂን አዳፕቴብል ጂን ያለው መሆን አለበት፣ ሰርቫይቭ አድርጎ ትውልድ እንዲያስቀጥል። እንዲህ ነው መሆን ያለበት። በሰውም ላይ ስትሄዱ ምናልባት አንድ ወንድ በውርስም ወይም ሰርቆም ንብረት ሊያካብት ይችላል። ነፈስ ጭንቅላት ይዞ አይኪው ታች የሞተ 50-60 አይኪው። አንቺ ገንዘቡን አይተሽ ሄደሽ የምትወልጃቸው ልጆች ጭንቅላቱ በዛ ከወጡ እንደሱ ንፍጣም ነው የሚሆኑት ማለት ነው። እና ይሄ ከአኒማሎች የሰው ልጅ መውረስ ያለበት ፊትነስ ዌል አዳፕትድ። ስለዚህ ኮርትሺፕ ራሱን የቻለ ሴክሽን ስላለው እዛ ጋር ስንደርስ እናወራለን በብዛት። I love to teach ethology animal behavior. therefore you see courtship call አለው። ድምጽ አላቸው። ለምሳሌ የክሪኬት ልንገራችሁ። ክሪኬት ማለት ይሄ ማታ በየበራችን ስር ጭር የሚለው ፌንጣ ክሪኬት ኢንሴክት ነው። እንዴት መሰላችሁ ድምጹን የሚያወጣው? ክንፉ ጠንካራ ክንፍ፣ የላይኛው ክንፍ ጠንካራ ነው። ክንፉን እግሩ ላይ ካሉ እንደ መጋዝ አይነት እንትኖች አሉት እግሩ ላይ፣ እነሱን እንደ ጊታር እየመታ ነው ድምጽ የሚያወጣው። የሚገርማችሁ እያንዳንዱ ስፒሽስ የተለየ ድምጽ አለው። ያን የተለየ ድምጽ የእያንዳንዱ ስፒሽስ ሴት ይሄ የኔ ወንድ ነው ይሄኛው የኔ አይደለም ብሎ የመለየት ብቃት አላቸው። imagine they are not simple as we may imagine. They are not simple. Each female can identify the sound of or the courtship call of its own species and identify so that አትቀላቀልም ማለት ከሌላ ስፒሽስ ጋር። ሌላው ፎርሜን ነውና እነዚህ ሁለቱን ሴክሶች አንድ ላይ እንዲቀራረቡ ለምን ለቀጣዩ ስቴፕ ምንድነው? ቀጣዩ ስቴፕ ሴክስ ነው። ሴክስ the act of then the male inseminates ሴክስ ያደረጉ ማለት ምን አረጋት? ወንዱ ኢንሴሚኔት አደረጋት። ኢንሲሚኔት አደረጋት፣ ስፐርም ሰጣት፣ ሴመን ሰጣት ወይም የዘር ፍሬው አስገባባት ማለት ነው ወደ መራቢያ አካሉ ክሎ አካል የሚባለው ይሄ እነሱ ጋር እንትን የለም ጀስት አይደለም ኢንሴክቶች ጋር ኢቭን ወንድ ዶሮ ፒነስ አለው እንዴ የለው ክሎአካ ነው የሚባለው ክፍተት ክሎአካ ሰገራም ስፐርምም አንድ ላይ መውጫ የሆነ እንደ ቂጥ መሰል ቀዳዳ ነው ክሎአካ ነው የሚባለው እሱ ሁለቱን ይገጥማሉ በሴክስ ሙድ ላይ ሲሆን ሴመን ነው የሚረጭ በክነሳው ነው ሽንትን መመሽናት ሙድ ላይ ሆነ ስፐርም አትረጭም ወይ ሴክስ ላይ ሆነ ሽንትን አልሸናም እንደዛ ስለዚህ የሁለቱ መውጫ ነው ክሎአካና እንደዛ ስፐርሞች ማይግሬት ያደርጋሉ መጓዝ ስለሚችሉ ተጉዞ እንቁላሉን ያገኙታል ነው ኦቪደክት ውስጥ ነውና ኢንሲሚኔት ያደርጋል በፊሜል after which the female lays ምን ያደርግ fertilized egg ትጥላለች ውጪ ነው አያጁ ዲቨሎፕመንት ብዙ ኢንሴክቶች ላይ ፈርቲላይዜሽን ውስጥ ነው ዲቨሎፕመንትስ ውጪ ነው በምን ነው የሚከሰተው ዲቨሎፕመንት indirect development what do you call indirect development metamorphosis and ምንድነው ሜታሞርፎሲስ gradual transformation እስቲ ስለ ሜታሞርፎሲስ ጥቂት ባያችሁ ኦኬ ሜታሞርፎሲስ you see ምን አይነት ዴቨሎፕመንት ነው ሜታሞርፎሲስ ዴቨሎፕመንት ነው ምን አይነት ኤምብሪዮኒክ ዴቨሎፕመንት ነው ምን ማለት ነው ፈርቲላይዝድ የሆነ እንቁላል ምን ይባላል ዛይጎት ወደ ራሱን የቻለ ልጅነት ሲቀየር ኤምብሪዮኒክ ዴቨሎፕመንት ኢንሴክቶች እንዴት ይከሰታል እዚህ ጋር ሆሎ ሜታቦሊ ይሉታል ሆሎ ሜታቦሊ ምን ማለት ነው ኮምፕሌት ሜታሞርፎሲስ ምን አለ ኤግ ወደ ላርቫው ተንቀሳቃሽ ነው በሊታ ነው እንዴ የብዙ ቢራቢሮዎችና የሞዞች ላርቫ እኮ ነው የገበሬ ቀንደኛ ጥላት እነዚህ ትላትሎች ሁሉ አባጨጓሬ የምትሏቸው ምናምን ትላትሎች ሰበላችንን በርሻ ላይ የሚያወድሙብን ከ50% በላይ ላርቫ ናቸው እኮ ቢራቢሮ ውስጥ ታታምሩት ልጅዋ ግን ላርቫ የሚባለው እንጂ ሆዳም በሊታ ቦራሸስ ኢተር ይሉታል በአንድ ማሳ ውስጥ ያለን ቅጠል ፍሬ ሁሉም በማድረግ የሚችል ላርቫ ነው ኤግ ላርቫው ከላይ ኩቲክል የሚባል ጠንካራ እንዲያድግ የማይፈቅድለት ስስ ልብስ አለው ውሃን ኢቫፖሬሽን ይከላከልበት እንዲያድግ አይፈቅድለትም ኩቲክሉን ግርፍፍ ያደረገ ነው የሚያድገው ግርፍፍ ያደርጋል እድገቱን ከጨረሰ በኋላ ያቆማል ወደ ምን ትራንስፎርም ያደርጋል ፑፓ ክር ይሰሩና ብዙዎቹ በክር ውስጥ ምሳሌ የሞዝ ነው ሲልክወርም ታውቃላችሁ የሰው ልጅ ሲልክወርምን ወስዶ ለጥበብ ለምርጥ ልብስ አድርጎታል ሲልክወርም ትሉ ነው ሲልክ የሰራው ሲልክ ፕሮዲዩስ አድርጎ በሲልኩ ምን ሰራ ቀፎ ሰራ ቀፎ ምን ለማድረግ ላርቫው መብላት አቁሟል እድገቱን ጨርሷል ምን ነው ወደ አዳልት ትራንስፈር ቢራቢሮ ሆኖ የሚወጣበት ከረጢት ሰርተው እዛ ውስጥ ነው ማንም እንዳያኝ አልፈልግም now I'm transforming ፑፓ የሚባለው ረስቲንግ ስቴጅ ነው ኤግ ላርቫ ፑፓው ጊዜው ሲጨርስ ከተጠቀለለበት ከረጢት በስታ ምኗ ትወጣለች አዳልቷ ምንም ሰራ ኔክታር ለምሳ ቢራቢሮ ኮኑ ኔክታር የመጠጡ አበባ ላይ ይሄዱ ወንድ ፍለጋ ነው አሁን ይቀጥላል ሳይክሉ ኮርት ትላለች ኮል ታረጋለች ኬሚካል ትረጫለች መራባት ነው ስራቸው አዳልቶች ወንድ ፈልገው ወንዱ ሴክስ ያረጋታል መራባት you see this is complete metamorphosis which is known as holometaboli ይሉታል ሌላ ስም ነው ይሄ holometaboli is similar with complete metamorphosis there are 4 stages what are these egg larva pupa and adult when it comes to this one incomplete metamorphosis gradual transformation incomplete hemi now change holo into hemi metaboli ይሄ ኤግ አለ ኤጉ ወደ ኒምፍ ነው ኒምፍ ይሉታል ኒምፍ ከኒምፍ አዳልት ነው። ኒምፍና አዳልት ምንድን ነው ልዩነታቸው? ምንም አንድ አይነት ናቸው። በአካል አንበጣ ነው። ትንሽዬ አንበጣ፣ ጩጬ አንበጣና ትልቅ አንበጣ። ትንሽዬው አንበጣ ገና ነው። እግሮቹም ትልቅ አልሆኑም። ሁሉም ክንፍ የለውም። እየተለቀ ሄዳል። እየተለቀ ሲሄድ ነው እያደገ የሚሄደው። ኦኬ። የትልቁ አንበሳና የትንሾቹ አንበሶች ልዩነት አላችሁ? የአካል ልዩነት፣ ሳይዝ ምናምን፣ የአካል ልዩነት የለም። 6 እግር አለው፣ 6 እግር አለው። ክንፍ የለውም።